Making headlines this hour. President Dr. Mohammad Muiz says his administration's priority is to ensure that agreements signed between the Maldives and Sri Lanka are effectively implemented with tangible benefits delivered to citizens of both countries. The Maldives and Sri Lanka signed 7 memorandums of understanding or MOUs aimed at strengthening cooperation across a range of key sectors during the ongoing state visit of President Mohammad Muiz to Sri Lanka. And the Universal Periodic Review or UPR, conducted by the UPR Working Group, commences its 52nd session. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Abdullah Ahil. And now the news in detail. A formal state welcome ceremony is held in Sri Lanka for President Dr. Mohammad Muiz and First Lady Sajida Mohamad. The ceremony took place at the Presidential Secretariat in Colombo with Sri Lankan President Anura Kumara Dissanayake in attendance. During the event, President Muiz was accorded a 21-gun salute and an official guard of honor. The ceremony concluded with the playing of the national anthems of both countries. Senior officials from the Sri Lankan government, along with the members of the Maldivian delegation, were present at the ceremony. Following the welcome, official talks between the two sides are scheduled to begin, focusing on strengthening bilateral relations. Discussions are expected to cover cooperation in education, vocational training, economic development, governance, heritage, and collaboration in international forums. Several memorandums of understanding, or MOUs, are also set to be signed in the presence of both leaders to enhance cooperation across various sectors. As part of the visit, President Muiz is scheduled to participate in the Maldives-Sri Lanka Business Forum and meet members of the Maldivian community residing in Sri Lanka. The President's office said the visit will facilitate discussions on shared priorities and further strengthen the long-standing ties between the Maldives and Sri Lanka. The Maldives and Sri Lanka convenes high-level discussions intended to expand bilateral cooperation across the environmental, tourism, and trade sectors. The diplomatic talks occurred during a state visit by President Dr. Mohammad Muiz, who traveled to the country at the formal invitation of the Sri Lankan President Anura Kumara Dissanayake. The dialogue was further advanced when Vijita Herath, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism, paid a courtesy call to President Muiz. President Muiz and Minister Herath noted during their meeting the historical significance of the 60-year diplomatic relationship shared by the Maldives and Sri Lanka. The enduring proximity between the two nations, both officials underscored, remains firmly rooted in shared principles and robust interconnected ties. Affirming a shared dedication to regional progress, the leaders provided assurances of their commitment to strengthening connections across various fields to ensure mutual benefit and prosperity. Consequently, President Muiz and Minister Herath engaged in extensive deliberations on elevating collaborative efforts concerning environmental protection, the advancement of the tourism industry, and the expansion of commercial trade. President Dr. Mohammad Muiz says his administration's priority is to ensure that agreements signed between the Maldives and Sri Lanka are effectively implemented with tangible benefits delivered to citizens of both countries. The President made the remarks during a joint press statement issued as part of his ongoing state visit to Sri Lanka, undertaken at the invitation of Sri Lankan President Anura Kumara Dissanayake. He also expressed appreciation for the warm hospitality extended to him, the First Lady Sajida Mohamad, and the Maldivian delegation. President Muiz said he held extensive discussions with President Dissanayake across a wide range of sectors concerning bilateral cooperation cooperation as well as regional and international issues of shared concern. He noted that the agreements signed between the two countries would strengthen collaboration in key areas including education and training, archives, health, defense, youth empowerment, and sports development. The president stressed that his objective is to translate these commitments into practical outcomes that directly benefit the people of both nations. Addressing economic and trade relations, President Muiz said the two leaders had engaged in substantive discussions while also acknowledging Sri Lanka's contribution to the Maldives' development. He added that efforts would be intensified to boost investment, create a more investor-friendly environment, and expand business opportunities. In this context, he highlighted the Maldives-Sri Lanka Business Forum as a platform that will bring together businesses, investors, and producers from both countries to explore potential partnerships and opportunities. The president further stated that the Maldives and Sri Lanka would continue to work closely to ensure security in the Indian Ocean region while also strengthening cooperation on climate change mitigation. He also revealed that discussions are underway to establish a branch of the Bank of Maldives in Sri Lanka alongside plans to introduce premium Maldivian fish products to the Sri Lankan market. The Maldives and Sri Lanka signed 7 memorandums of understanding or MOUs aimed at strengthening cooperation across a range of key sectors during the ongoing state visit of President Mohammad Muiz to Sri Lanka. The agreements were signed as part of the president's official visit from the 3rd to the 6th of this month, undertaken at the invitation of Sri Lankan President Anura Kumara Dissanayake. The MOUs were exchanged during a special ceremony held in the presence of both leaders. A total of 7 agreements were concluded, covering areas including tourism, education, youth development, and defense cooperation. The initiatives are expected to further deepen long-standing ties between the two neighboring Indian Ocean nations. Following are the details of the MOUs. An MOU on cooperation in the field of tourism, signed by Maldives Minister of Foreign Affairs Dr. Abdullah Khalil's portfolio representative Irtisham Adam and Sri Lanka's Minister of Foreign Affairs Vijita Herat. An MOU on cooperation in the fields of archives, also signed by Irtisham Adam and Vijita Herat. An MOU on sports and youth development, signed by Irtisham Adam and Sri Lanka's Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports Sunil Kumara Gamage. An MOU on teacher training and the professional development of school leaders, signed by Irtisham Adam and Vijita Herat. An MOU on strengthening defense cooperation, signed by Maldives High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Masood Imad, and Sri Lanka's Defense Ministry Secretary, Air Vice Marshal Retired Sampath Tuyakonta. An MOU on defense education, training, and research, signed by High Commissioner Masood Imad and Vice Chancellor of General Sir John Kotalawala Defense University, Rear Admiral HGU Dhammika Kumara. An MOU on facilitating higher education opportunities, signed by High Commissioner Masood Imad and Vice Chancellor of the University of Colombo, Professor Indika Mahesh Karunatilak. Following the signing ceremony, President Muiz and President Dissanayake delivered a joint statement reaffirming the strong and evolving bilateral relationship between the Maldives and Sri Lanka and expressing commitment to further expanding cooperation in areas of mutual interest. President Dr. Mohammad Muiz joins Sri Lankan counterpart President Anura Kumara Dissanayake to plant trees commemorating 6 decades of diplomatic relations between the two neighboring nations. The event took place at Vihara Mahadevi Park in Colombo, where the two leaders planted specimens of Horsfieldia iriagedi, a critical endangered species native only to Sri Lanka. The choice of this rare endemic tree underscored both the uniqueness of the bilateral relationship and the shared commitment of both nations to environmental stewardship for generations to come. The tree planting ceremony represents more than a commemorative gesture, as it embodies the robust and enduring friendship that has flourished between the Maldives and Sri Lanka since the establishment of diplomatic relations on the 26th of July, 1965. According to the President's office, the activity symbolizes the close bilateral relations and continued growth of cooperation between the two countries, which have built their partnership on foundations of mutual respect and long-standing people-to-people connections spanning generations. President Dr. Muiz's ongoing visit to Sri Lanka forms part of an intensive state visit program featuring high-level engagements designed to strengthen bilateral ties and advance cooperation across mutually beneficial sectors. The tree planting ceremony joins a series of diplomatic activities aimed at charting the future course of Maldives-Sri Lanka relations as the two island nations look forward to enhanced partnership and collaboration. The Maldives and Sri Lanka reaffirms its commitment to expanding cooperation in areas including tourism, healthcare, education, and economic development during talks between President Dr. Mohammad Muiz and Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya. Dr. Amarasuriya paid a courtesy call on President Muiz, where both leaders discussed strengthening bilateral ties and exploring new avenues of partnership in sectors of mutual interest, including vocational training and broader socio-economic development. During the meeting, President Dr. Mohammad Muiz commended the Sri Lankan government's efforts to recover from socio-economic challenges following the impacts of Cyclone Ditwa last year. Both leaders also highlighted the contributions of diaspora communities, noting the role of Sri Lankans living in the Maldives in national development, as well as that of Maldivians residing in Sri Lanka. President Dr. Muiz is currently undertaking a state visit to Sri Lanka from the 3rd to the 6th of May at the invitation of President Anura Kumara Dissanayaka. He is accompanied by the First Lady Sajida Mohammed. Aminat Shirona, who has been serving as Minister of State for Health, is appointed as the Chief Executive Officer of the National Social Protection Agency, or NSPA. During her tenure at the Ministry of Health, Shirona has overseen the operations of key institutions, including the Health Protection Agency, or HPA, Damaneveshi, and Maldives Blood Services. Shirona brings more than 23 years of experience in the nursing profession to the role and holds a master's degree in her field. The Ministry of Health has extended its congratulations to Shirona following her appointment as head of the agency. The appointment follows a leadership change at the NSPA after the previous Chief Executive Officer, Hina Walid, stepped down from the position. The Indian Ocean Tuna Commission, or IOTC, kicks off its 30th annual meeting in the Maldives, bringing together more than 200 delegates, fisheries experts, and senior officials from across the Indian Ocean region and around the world. The two-week gathering, running from the 4th to the 15th of May at the Barcelona Sundra Hotel in Male, marks a significant moment for both the island nation and the broader regional fisheries community. This year's meeting holds particular historical importance as it presents the first time the IOTC has chosen the Maldives as its host country, underscoring the nation's growing prominence in international fisheries governance and policy formulation. The meeting commenced with the Compliance Committee session, initiating a comprehensive program of technical and commission-level discussions that will engage member states, observers, and various stakeholders. The Compliance Committee serves a critical function within the IOTC's institutional framework, responsible for monitoring and reviewing the regional monitoring, control, and surveillance systems. These systems are essential for planning, conducting, managing, and protecting fisheries resources while simultaneously promoting transparent and responsible practices across the region's tuna and seafood fisheries. The decision to host this significant international gathering reflects the Maldives' strategic priorities and ambitions within the fisheries sector. The Ministry of Fisheries, Agriculture, and Ocean Resources has characterized the event as a pivotal opportunity to further strengthen the nation's fisheries industry while enhancing its role on the international stage. Ministry officials emphasized that holding the IOTC annual meeting in the Maldives will provide a substantial boost to the domestic fisheries sector, creating valuable networking opportunities and increased visibility for Maldivian fisheries expertise. By hosting such a prominent regional meeting, the Maldives has demonstrated its capacity to serve as a meaningful contributor to fisheries policy discussions at both regional and international levels. The IOTC operates as the primary regional fisheries authority responsible for the conservation of marine species and associated ecosystems throughout the Indian Ocean, while overseeing the sustainable management of these valuable natural resources. The Universal Periodic Review, or UPR, conducted by the UPR Working Group, commences its 52nd session. This session is being held at the United Nations office in Geneva at the Palais des Nations. The session will continue over a period of 2 weeks, concluding on the 15th of this month. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated that during this period, the UPR Working Group, established under the UN Human Rights Council, will assess the human rights situations in 14 countries. These countries include Belgium, Denmark, Estonia, Latvia, Mozambique, Namibia, Niger, Palau, Paraguay, Seychelles, Sierra Leone, Singapore, Solomon Islands, and Somalia. A Maldivian delegation is participating in this session, where they will deliver recommendations to the countries under review in line with the key policies of the government of the Maldives. The UPR Working Group holds 3 sessions each year. The ongoing 52nd session is part of the 4th UPR review cycle, which runs from 2022 to 2027. The UPR is a mechanism established to review the efforts of UN member states in protecting and promoting human rights, as well as to assess progress made. It also provides an opportunity for other member states to propose constructive recommendations aimed at strengthening the implementation of human rights in the countries under review. The Maldivian delegation attending this session is led by Dr. Salma Rashid, the permanent representative of the Maldives to the United Nations office in Geneva. The delegation also includes Councillor Adam Hamid, Councillor Aminat Shifaya Ibrahim, Second Secretary Aishat Rayahin, and Attaché Mohammad Raid Said. Updates on business news. Oil prices ease after U.S. President Donald Trump said the United States would begin an effort to free up ships stranded in the Strait of Hormuz. However, the lack of a U.S.-Iran peace deal kept prices supported above $100.
Brent crude futures fell 64 cents or 0.59% to $107.53 a barrel after settling down at $2.23. U.S. West Texas Intermediate was at $101.10 a barrel, down 84 cents or 0.82%, following a $3.13 loss. Trump wrote in a post on his Truth Social site, quote, "For the good of Iran, the Middle East, and the United States, we have told these countries that we will guide their ships safely out of these restricted waterways so that they can freely and ably get on with their business," unquote. Oil prices remained above $100 a barrel with no peace deal in sight and traffic in the Strait of Hormuz still limited. Negotiations between the U.S. and Iran continued over the weekend, with the countries assessing responses from each other. ANZ analysts said in a note, quote, "Peace talks have been stalled as both sides refuse to move on their respective red lines," unquote. Trump has made a nuclear deal with Tehran a priority, while Iran has proposed to set aside nuclear issues until after the war ends and the foes agree to lift opposing blockades on Gulf shipping. On Sunday, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and their allies, or OPEC Plus, said they will raise oil output targets by 188,000 barrels per day in June for 7 members, the third consecutive monthly rise. The increase is the same as that agreed for May, minus the share of the United Arab Emirates, which left OPEC on May 1st. However, the higher volume will remain largely on paper as long as the Iran war continues to disrupt Gulf oil supplies through the Strait of Hormuz.
Taking a look at international affairs, Australia and Japan beef up their cooperation around critical minerals amid a state visit by Japan's Prime Minister, with the countries providing $1.20 billion in support for the sector and lagging more to come.
Both nations will focus on strategic projects to address the most urgent supply chain vulnerabilities in mining, refining, and manufacturing in the two countries, the Australian government said in a statement. Australia provides approximately 1/3 of Japan's energy supply and is the country's largest market for liquefied natural gas. Both nations have been attempting to shore up their energy supply as tensions in the Middle East strangle trade. Japan has provided approximately $267 million in investments and grants and plans to provide further investments and grants as projects develop, while Australia plans to provide up to $937 million, the statement said. Last month, Japan signed contracts launching a $7 billion deal to supply Australia with warships in Tokyo's most significant military sale since ending a ban on such exports in 2014.
Moving on to sports, China retains the Thomas Cup in Horsens, Denmark, with a 3-1 win over first-time finalists France.
World number 1 Shi Yuqi got the defending champions off to a winning start, edging European champion Christo Popov 21-16, 16-21, 21-17. 21-year-old Alex Lanier then drew the challengers level, dispatching former All-England champion Li Shifeng 21-13, 21-10. Toma Popov suffered the same fate as his younger brother, however losing another close contest 22-20, 20-22, 21-19 to Wang Hongyang. After almost 4.5 hours of hard-fought badminton, He Jiting and Ren Zhanyu secured China's 12th title in doubles play with a convincing 21-13, 21-16 win over Eloy Adam and Leo Rossi.
Concluding with news and lifestyle, Chinese robotics startup Linkerbot, the global market leader in highly dexterous robotic hands for humanoids, will seek a $6 billion valuation in its next financing round, the company said.
Beijing-based Linkerbot currently holds over 80% of the global market share in high degree of freedom DOF robotic hands and plans to scale production soon to 10,000 units a month, CEO Alex Chu told Reuters in an interview. Investor interest in China's humanoid robotics industry has surged this year after market leaders demonstrated their products' staggering technical advances during a widely watched TV performance. Unlike competing humanoid makers, Linkerbot specializes in high-value human craftsmanship. Cho said the goal is to replicate the entire library of the human dexterous skills within their hardware. He said the firm's Linker SkillNet platform is the world's largest real-world dexterous manipulation dataset. This multimodal data collection system converts human skills into standardized, reusable capabilities for robotic hands, with over 500 skills so far. Linkerbot's hands can already rapidly turn screws, thread a needle, and engage in high-precision manufacturing. The company supplies some of China's leading humanoid robot makers as well as some foreign industrial giants. Its basic O6 lightweight model can carry a 50-kilogram load despite weighing only 370 grams. Cho said this is a key advantage for industrial applications where miniaturization and strength are required. The company manufactures key components in-house and uses specialized self-lubricating and corrosion-resistant polymers. Linkerbot's hands are also used by research institutes and leading global universities. A major obstacle to the widespread factory use of humanoids is their cost, but Linkerbot says its hands are more easily deployed than humanoids. Cho said Chinese factory owners have realized that for most factory work, 2 arms and a pair of dexterous hands are enough. He said many customers simply mount hands onto existing robotic arms rather than buy a full humanoid.
And that's all the news we have for today. We'll be back with any further updates. Until then, I'm Abdullah Ahil from PSM News.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة والصلاة القائمة آت محمدًا الوسيلة والفضيلة والدرجة الرفيعة وابعثه مقاما محمودا الذي وعدته وارزقنا شفاعته برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وصلى الله على محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم، والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Assalamu alaikum.